What's going on YouTube? So Acura has been on a roll lately with a ton of new products. However, we've probably just arrived at the most important product of the bunch. This all new 2022 MDX. This has long been the bread and butter product of the Acura lineup. But after about 8 years, we're definitely excited to see what this ground up redesign has in store. But without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and see just how good this luxury 3-row is. So over the last few years, Acura has really been paying a lot of attention to design and making their products look a lot more aggressive, and that is the case with this new MDX. Now, one of the things you'll notice right from the start is it really looks a lot wider, and that's because it actually is. It's 1.4 inches wider up here in the front, and that space is mostly occupied by this large diamond pentagon grille. This is, of course, pretty much the same as in the other Acura products. You do have the chrome surround on most of the models, but it will be blacked out on the A-Spec trim. Now, coming over here to your headlights. These also accentuate the design because they are really narrow, full LED light unit here with the signature jewel eye design. You also have the new chicane daytime running light as well as LED turn signal indicator. And then finally down here at the bottom, you will notice an LED fog light standard on the top two trim levels. Now moving on to our wheel options, of course you have a wide variety as you expect for a luxury SUV. The base model comes with a 19-inch alloy, however all of the rest of them will come with 20-inch alloys with different designs. This advanced model has the really nice looking multi-spoke alloy. Then as we move on up here to our mirrors, you'll notice kind of a cool design touch. This chrome continues on to the mirror in one kind of seamless piece. You do have standard heating and standard blind spot monitoring, and if you choose the technology and above, that's going to get you auto dimming as well as power folding.
Alrighty, so before we get around to the rear design of this all-new MDX, I do want to talk about the side because quite a bit has changed here for the new model. So you're coming in at 198 inches in length, which is up 2.2 inches over the previous generation MDX. And more importantly, you're getting that more signature rear drive proportion that the old MDX was certainly lacking, and that makes this look a lot more premium and elegant. And finishing off some of the side elements, we have chrome here on the window surrounds as well as roof rails on the Advance. These would be blacked out if you go for the A-Spec model. Now the rear design itself is also completely different from the outgoing model. It has a much more elegant look, but it also has a little bit more of a sporty touch to it than the old model had. Now as far as the taillights, these are going to be full LED taillights with the new chicane design. Every single element in here is going to be LED, which is a departure from the last generation. We also have a chrome trim right here. And then further down we have dual trapezoidal exhaust outlets, standard on all MDXs. Now all MDXs are going to come standard with the entire suite of safety systems, so that's going to include forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, auto high beam headlamps, adaptive cruise control with a new traffic jam assistant, and a lane keeping assistant. Now additionally, if you go for the technology trims and higher, that's going to also throw in front and rear auto braking. But anyway guys, if you haven't hit that subscribe button down below, please do that. It really helps us out and it doesn't cost you anything, so what are you losing? But now let's go ahead and check out the really luxurious cabin of this new MDX before we take it out in a spin.
So with the all-new MDX, we have an all-new Acura key fob. It does have a new shape to it. It's still very large, but it has been lightened up a little bit. Then as far as the features you will have remote start on the key fob if you choose the advanced trim level. Now to get inside the vehicle itself, of course, just grab behind the handle and it will unlock. Alright guys, now take a look at this cabin. Even as big as the changes are on the exterior, I have to say the interior change is even more dramatic. Now, of course, as with most luxury vehicles, you have a lot of different interior color and material options you can choose between. So only the base model will come with leatherette. Other than that, every other trim level will come standard with Milano leather. And then as far as the color options, with this advanced model, we have every option available. So you have the choice between ebony, parchment, espresso, which you see here today, or graystone. Now, turning over here to your door trim, you will see the same color leather reflected up here. It goes all across the armrest as well as the area above it. Here with the advanced trim, we also have genuine open pore wood trim, and that's going to go throughout the cabin. You do have standard 3-person memory seating, and of course, all 4 of your windows will be one-touch automatic. Now, squatting down here at your seats, you're going to have a standard 12-way power adjusting seat. However, with this advanced model, we have the 16-way power adjustment, including power side bolsters. And then, like I was already mentioning, we do have Milano leather on board. Really nice quality leather, super smooth and supple. With the advanced model, we also have color contrast piping around, as well as the different kinds of perforation. So this cabin is more than just a beautiful new space. It does have a lot of really high quality materials throughout. So Acura has actually finished the entire upper dashboard in a leatherette material from top to bottom, and you do have a stitching detail that runs through. And this dashboard has a really heavy layered effect. So you have a layer of the open pore wood, a layer of piano black, and then below that a leather layer that runs through here with more color contrast stitching. This does come on this side as well, so you can rest your knee against it. And of course, everything in here is going to fit together with that typical Acura precision. Now start up the new MDX, put your foot on the brake, and press the standard button. Now the first thing you will probably notice the second it starts up is the fact that we have a 12.3-inch full digital gauge cluster on board. This is an Acura first, and it is really nice and vivid. Now, just like any reconfigurable gauge cluster, of course you can change the design. You have your regular kind of information over there on this side. It does change with your drive modes, so we can switch into, say, sport here, and you can see it change on both displays here to a bunch of different kinds of designs. Now, in addition to that, up top here, we have a large 10.5-inch head-up display, which is standard on the advanced trim level, and it has its own menus and stuff that can be also controlled from the steering wheel. And speaking of the steering wheel, of course we have Acura's newest design, nice leather wrap wheel, kind of squared off on the sides, and it would be flat bottomed on the A-spec as well. As far as your features on board, you have power adjustment on every single model, and then you have heating on your advanced trim level. But in addition to luxury, of course, the other most important part about a 3-row crossover is utility. So let's check the storage. Start out underneath our center console here. It does open up in 2 different pieces, so we have a small piece to keep tiny belongings, and then we can open up the main console, and you'll be greeted with a lot of space. This is nice and deep, also wide, and you do have your 12-volt outlet and USB port inside. And when we get our coupons, these are obviously going to fit in here, no problem whatsoever. Now, up in front of that, we have a gigantic wireless phone charging pad. So this will definitely support even the largest kinds of phones. We have 2 cup holders, and we have another little storage cubby right there. Now, of course, one of the main reasons why we can have all of this dedicated to storage is the fact that we have the electronic shifter kind of mounted up here out of the way. So this works the same as in any other Acura product, so you're just going to press D for drive, press again for sport mode, and we do have standard paddle shifters on board, even on this advanced model. Pull back on that trigger to activate reverse, and when you do, you will find a standard backup camera on every single model. However, you're noticing that we have the 360-degree camera system. This is standard on the advanced model only. And I'm really happy to say it takes up pretty much this entire 12.3-inch display and has really nice resolution as well. And if you're parked, just press the P. Off to the side, you have your brake hold function and your electronic parking brake on the other side of the steering wheel. And I did almost forget to mention that kind of hidden over here, you have some more USB ports that pop out. Okay, so let's take a look down here at the console. You've got a nice floating armrest here for your controller that's mounted on the dashboard. We'll talk about this in just a second. And we also have our volume knob. So with the new MDX, you've got several different choices for your audio system depending on your trim level, of course. You start with 9 speakers, technology gets you 12 speakers, and then if you choose the top 2 trim levels, that's where you get the top dog 16 speaker ELS 3D sound system. That's what we have, so let's give it a sample. Yeah, I have to say, these new ELS 3D sound systems are phenomenal. Really, really rich sound quality, tons of bass, and really just fills up the cabin amazingly. Plus, look at these metal speaker grills. Love them, really detailed, and they're very, very large and placed in kind of a more interesting place than what automakers usually put them in, so I definitely like that. Okay, so let's return over here to our center console. Obviously, we have a standard 3-zone automatic climate control setup, as you'd expect. Adjustment is very simple. You just bump these metal toggles up and down, and you'll notice it does glow as you make that adjustment. You do have physical controls here for your rear climate controls, your fan speeds, your zones. All the important stuff is right there. Down below that, we also have automatic 3-stage heated seats as standard equipment on all models, and then 3-stage ventilated seats as standard equipment on A-spec and advanced models. Alright, so now that brings us up here to our other really large display inside this cabin. This is also a 12.3-inch display, so that's the largest display that you can get in any Acura product. So this, of course, is Acura's true touchpad interface. So that does mean that this is not a touch display. You will have to use the touchpad that's located on the dashboard and use that same one-to-one relationship. So if you hit in the top right corner, that will select the thing that's in the top right corner on the display, for example. However, it's not exactly the same as in other Acura products. For example, we're actually in the Android Auto ecosystem right now, and as you can see, we are running this wirelessly. So that's new to the MDX, and as of right now, that's exclusive to the MDX and the Acura lineup. Now heading back into the main interface here, I'll pull up the navigation system. This is what is built in for the technology model and above. And I'll check out, see if there's any other features to point out. So we do have Alexa ability. We also have the cabin talk system, which is basically an intercom that will project your voice back to the rear seats. And I do also want to mention a feature called cabin control. So we've seen this in some of the Honda products, but basically it allows you to download an app, and then you can control things like the music, audio settings, rear climate controls, navigation, and even the panoramic sunroof via this application. Now, moving on beyond the display, you'll notice we have a frameless auto-dimming mirror with 3 Homelink universal remotes built in, standard across the board. And then up here at the top, this is our standard panoramic sunroof. So it's, like I said, included on every single trim level. As you can see, it's a very large piece of glass that goes all the way back to the rear passengers, and the front panel does open up.
Alrighty, so here I am in the all-new MDX's rear seat, and this is a area where they've improved a lot. Obviously, they've improved a lot in this MDX, but this rear seat is another area where they've done a lot. So as far as the space itself is concerned, you have 39 inches of rear legroom, 38 inches of rear headroom, which is up around 2 inches over the previous generation MDX, and right on par with that of the competition like the Audi Q7, as well as the Lexus RX. Now, as far as behind rear seating position, I would say probably 6 to 7 inches of rear legroom, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. Now, as far as the features that they're going to throw in, you're going to have a lot of features. So here in the center, this whole area is completely redesigned, and you're going to have your own climate controls as well as vents standard on all of the MDXs. And then off to the side of that, we do also have 3-stage heated rear seats. That's going to be advanced exclusive. And then dropping down, we have a 12-volt power outlet, 2 charging USBs, as well as a household style outlet. Now here in the middle seat, this is a new feature for the MDX. If you remember correctly, the old MDX used to have in the advanced trim used to have that center console. Well, now they have the bench seating, but it does still have a center console area if you fold it down, and it does have 2 more cup holders as well as storage in the middle here. And then on the door trim, we do have rear window sunshades. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and hop in the third row. And before we get back there, I do want to point out that if you don't want to fold it like this, you can also remove that middle seat to kind of have captain's chairs in this MDX, which is pretty cool. Now, if you have it in this seating configuration, all you have to do is locate this button right here, push it once, folds the seat forward, and kind of ejects it out of the way, which I really love. It's really one of the easiest third rows to get into. Now, let's look at the third row itself. This is an okay amount of space. This is certainly not the most spacious thing that you can get in this segment, but you're gonna have 29 inches of rear legroom. This is certainly better than something like an RXL, but as you can see, I really don't have a lot of thigh support. And then as far as the features are concerned, we have a cup holder as well as a charging USB port. However, guess what, guys? I'm still not seeing any vents on this all-new MDX. Now, walking up to the tailgate, Acura was nice enough to include a power one, standard on all of the models, and it is also going to be hands-free if you go for the advanced trim. So in order to open, just wave your foot under the bumper. And once it opens up, you're going to see a pretty big improvement in terms of space for this all-new model in terms of the last generation. So you're going to have 16 cubic feet behind the third row seats. That expands all the way up to 39 cubic feet if you fold them. And then as a maximum, you have 72 cubic feet of space. That does now put it in line with its German rivals like the Audi Q7. So definitely a good benefit. Now, as far as how they finished it back here, we do have a lining across the floor. If we lift it up, there's actually quite a bit of storage along the floor here. And then off to the side, we have a 12-volt power outlet, and the third row itself is going to be manually folding on all of the trim levels. I would like to see maybe a power folding option. And then there's also this button right here off to the left side, and that's going to be the walk away close. So if we push this, when I walk away, it's going to recognize that and close the tailgate for me. Over here in your passenger seat, you are going to have the same adjustment as the driver, which is a lot of different ways, including 4-way lumbar support, and we do also have 3-person memory even here on the passenger side. That's like a German luxury vehicle touch there. Then if we open up the glove box, it is really nicely felt lined, dampened, and as far as the coupons, they can fit in there just fine. So all 3 rows of the people you put in this MDX will be fed for cheap. And then up top, we do have a sun visor with a light as well as a mirror. You can also detach and extend.
There's a bit of an acceleration, a little bit foiled by the red light here, but you know, you can already tell this has got plenty of power on board. So of course everything really is so much different with this new MDX. However, the powertrain situation really isn't too different. You've got the same engine on board, so it's the 3.5 liter V6 engine It's making 290 horsepower, 267 pound-feet of torque. Again, exactly the same as the outgoing generation. However, this is used in a ton of different Acura and Honda products. Very good engine, super smooth power delivery, and like I said, it's plenty of power.
I really don't have any complaints about it. It's plenty of power, but also the terms of refinement. This is one of the most refined engines you can get, and pay attention as we accelerate here. It's just like buttery smooth, which is exactly what you want in something like this.
And of course, Type S is coming up, so if this is not enough power for you, then I believe that's estimated 355. Yeah, 355 horsepower. So that's gonna be a serious performance option. So you can always wait a little while and check that out when that comes out.
And just cruising along here, wow. The MDX, this and the Lexus RX are some of the most comfortable vehicles money can buy, and I am just incredibly impressed with what this MDX has to offer here. I mean, it is sublime in its ride quality, and as far as the noise level here, I will go ahead and get a reading, but it sounds really, really quiet in here. Gotta grab it out of the bag real fast. And going 55 miles per hour, we're looking at 59 decibels, that's a really good reading, for sure.
There you go, we got cleared out of some traffic there. I got a good acceleration. Now let's talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. This has got a 10-speed automatic transmission now. That replaces the previous 9-speed automatic. This is Honda's in-house developed transmission as opposed to the ZF transmission, and this definitely seems like a better programmed transmission, more responsive. It gets you in the right gear at the right time, and it really does a good job in that respect. Now, as you may know, this has moved to having a double wishbone suspension, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of clicker into dynamic mode, and we can see what type of extra performance we're looking at with this. Now, as I mentioned, your gauge cluster does change with your drive modes. So with the dynamic mode or sport mode, definitely the throttle aggression is dialed up. I'm also noticing that the steering gets a lot quicker responding as well as firmer. In the normal mode, it's incredibly light. However, regardless, you can probably sense that it's still very comfort oriented even when you put it in the sport mode. That's what this MDX is geared towards. If you want something, or this is the advanced trim level, of course, so if you want something sportier, you've got the A-Spec. You also have the Type S that you can choose in the future. Those are going to be more sport oriented, but this is really luxury oriented no matter which drive mode that you're in.
Now let's go ahead and talk about the airball and slam dunk. Start with the airball and say that I didn't particularly like the third row. It's really no different than the outgoing model. I was hoping that maybe they would have it a little bit more spacious or whatnot, or at least add some air vents back there. Unfortunately, that's not the case with this all-new model. Now, going along with that, the slam dunk for today is going to be just the overall luxury feel inside of this cabin. This is worlds, and I mean worlds better than the previous generation MDX. And it really just pays attention to the details, which I love. That's what a luxury vehicle needs to do, and you have, leather trimming going through pretty much every aspect of this cabin, and it just feels like a much more luxurious experience. And as far as the fuel economy is concerned, the front drive model is going to come in at 19, 26, 22, and if you go for SH all-wheel drive, which I assume most of you guys will, that's going to be 21 combined.
And speaking of SH all-wheel drive, it can send 70% of the power to the rear wheels, kind of giving you a rear drive bias. And also, I want to mention that it is standard equipment on the Advance and the A-Spectrum.
Yeah. And since we're talking about the trim levels, let's go ahead and talk about the price. So for the front drive models, the base is going to start at $46,900, technology $51,600, A-Spec all-wheel drive is $57,100, and Advance is going to start at $60,650. This one, as equipped with the destination charge of $1,025 plus the paint color, is going to come in at $62,175.
So overall, what do we think of this new MDX? As you can probably tell by this point, it's a pretty impressive product. It really is just leaps and bounds better than the outgoing generation. And you keep all of the strong areas of the MDX previously, including the fact that you have really great value as well. I believe this is only about $2,000 more expensive than the outgoing generation, while delivering an infinitely more luxurious experience inside of this cabin. So this is still one of the best luxury 3 rows that money can buy, except now you just have like this infinitely better experience on board.
Well guys, that wraps up this in-depth review of the 2022 Acura MDX Advance. We really appreciate you watching this video, and if you made it this far, why wouldn't you just go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, because I know you enjoyed watching, and there's going to be a lot more really cool content coming to the channel soon, so why would you want to miss out on that? Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.